In this analysis, we explore the structural behavior visible in both the SPX and ETH charts, focusing on a phenomenon that emerges repeatedly in chaotic price systems: chaotic expansion around a boundary. Although the visuals may resemble a head formation or a broadening fractal, the underlying mechanics are deeper and belong to the mathematics of nonlinear dynamic systems. 1. The boundary oscillation phenomenon. Both charts show the same core behavior. Price is oscillating around a critical boundary. Each oscillation is larger than the previous one. The swings become faster, wider, and more unstable. Volatility grows in a geometric, not linear, manner. Superficially, this resembles a broadening pattern, but mathematically it belongs to the family of chaotic boundary oscillations seen in the logistic map, the Duffing oscillator, driven nonlinear systems, turbulent transitions before bifurcation. 2. Why this happens: chaotic expansion. In chaotic systems, once a variable begins oscillating around a constraint, a wall, the system's internal energy determines whether that constraint acts as a. an attractor, stabilizing, b. a repulsor, destabilizing. At the beginning of the process, the boundary usually functions as an attractor, pulling price toward it. But as oscillations expand in amplitude, each swing stores more energy than the one before it. The system becomes progressively less stable. The boundary loses its ability to contain the movement. The attractor turns into a repulsive boundary. This is the mathematical moment where the structure transitions from controlled fluctuation to chaotic expansion. 3. The critical insight: the more times price expands around the boundary, the more likely it is to break out of it. This is not a prediction model. This is the behavior measured in nonlinear dynamic systems. When expansion is visible, as in your charts, the system is no longer compressing. It is no longer neutral. It is entering a high-energy chaotic phase, where boundaries lose their stability. 4. What mathematics suggests, not predicts. In chaotic expansion models, when oscillations increase around a boundary, the system tends to resolve direction. 70% probability: breakout in the direction of escape. 30% probability: collapse in the opposite direction. These ratios appear across multiple nonlinear systems. Logistic map at the edge of bifurcation. Duffing oscillator with increased forcing. Energy-driven chaotic oscillations. Boundary collision models. The idea is not what will happen, but what the system prefers when energy grows. The charts match the same mechanical signature. Wider oscillations. Faster reversals. Loss of boundary stability. Transition to repulsion. This gives us a mathematical context for why breakouts become more probable than collapses in such structures. 5. How this applies to price movement. Price is not random. It is a chaotic deterministic system influenced by feedback loops, liquidity shocks, market impulses, volatility clustering, nonlinear responses to information. Therefore, when price exhibits iterative expansion, boundary-centered oscillation, increasing amplitude, geometric volatility growth, it follows the same rules known from physical chaotic systems. Thus, the structure observed in SPX and ETH is not merely a market pattern. It is a chaotic expansion loop preparing for resolution. 6. Final interpretation: educational, not predictive. Based on the mathematics of expansion, when a boundary stops acting like a stabilizer and begins acting as a repulsive surface, and oscillations grow in amplitude repeatedly, the system is statistically biased toward continuation outside the boundary. This is why chaotic systems show a natural preference for breakout rather than collapse once the expansion phase matures. Again, not a forecast. A structural, mechanical explanation of the behavior visible in the charts.